Comparable sales analysis. So I've touched on the topic of comparable sales before and understanding how valuers look at properties. But when you say it's below comparable sales or well placed against comparable sales, what does that really mean? And what are you looking at to even define what is a comparable sale? Let me give you a few tips and tricks to understand what comparable sales points you should look at that will help you define if it's really in line or not. So number one, starting off with the exterior of the property. Is that exterior in somewhat of a similar condition, superior or inferior? And you'll see me use these words quite often. Superior, similar, inferior. We're talking languages of the valuers. Is it better, similar, or worse? Now, once you've checked out the exterior, the next is interior. The condition of it, how modern are the appliances, these sorts of things will help, as well as the layout, floor plan, and function. The other thing you should consider is land size, because with that land size, you're going to be able to understand, not only just the size of it, but the way it's put together. Is it like a weird sloping block or a flat square block, rectangle? The shape matters as well. The next thing to consider as well is the neighborhood placement. So where is it in a suburb? There could be a great suburb, but one part of the neighborhood may have a huge amount of public housing, and then the other part of the neighborhood may have nothing. And you can't really compare those two as comparables because that may come into the mix. Another point you could look at is power lines or power stations. There are some different things that people have a thought process on. Power lines is one of them. One thing that could come up depending on the area is end of a cul-de-sac or other things that people have superstitions or thoughts about in terms of their safety, luck, or the placement of the house. Now, whilst you can't go into that depth all the time, I can understand from a time perspective for your analysis, but it's still just some points I thought I'd throw out to you. The other thing to consider is the recency of the sale. Now, yeah, great, you might find a comparable property, but if you're looking at it from 2 years ago, what's happened if that market's moved? You might be shooting yourself in the foot and trying to think you can get that lower price, but that market's moved in a positive manner or the other way. And then the last part is understanding, if you can, the campaign of that property. Now, what you can understand to look at the campaign is, were there many price decreases? Were there many keywords in that campaign? Perhaps even a quick phone call to that agent. These sorts of things can help you understand the comparable sale and if it's really a comparable sale. Why that's important for you to go through all these points is you don't want to overpay on property. Now, yes, sometimes you might be willing to go to a certain limit and you're comfortable with it because it may be affordable in your eyes, but cheap and affordable doesn't always mean a good deal. The good deal can still be looked at when you consider comparable sales to see if it's really just a cheap suburb or you've got a good deal in a cheap property. So when you consider comparable sales, don't forget all these different points that I've mentioned, because they're going to be key for you to understand if you're buying right or buying in the right area, and of course, buying in the right price. That's it from us here at Investigate, the experts at wealth creation, helping you take action.